Good morning, Abundant Life Church. This is Pastor Chris, and today we're going to be in Romans chapter 3, verses 27 down through 31. Let me start by asking you a question. How come on bottles of Windex there are warning labels? And these warning labels say, do not drink. People have to be told not to drink Windex. When have you ever had a desire to drink Windex? The only time you should ever have that desire to drink Windex is if you want to take off your clothes and run naked down the street. Drink Windex because it prevents streaking. I'll wait for you to recover right now, and I apologize for that. All right, but here's the thing. Why is there a warning label on Windex? Because somebody had to have at some point tried drinking it. Let me ask you this. Is that warning label necessary? No. But it's there because somebody did something stupid. In today's passage, Paul brings up some more questions. And by doing so, he gives us a warning label about not doing something. What we're not supposed to do is to be self-righteous. We're not supposed to brag about how good we are and how we've been saved by our own self-righteousness and our own goodness. But to me, I'm asking, do we really need to be told that? Can Christians be self-righteous? Yeah, they can. Unfortunately, we see that all the time. And we see, yeah, sadly, this is a necessary warning label. So our question is really this. Not why did Paul give the warning label, but why is it necessary at all? Why do Christians have a problem still in this day and age, knowing all that we know about how we're saved, about Jesus' righteousness and grace and how that works? Why do we still need to be told to make sure that we're not self-righteous? Okay, again, why would anyone brag about what they've done when God's done all the work for us? Now, is it ever okay to brag about what great people we are? Well, remember that Paul was writing to the Roman church, and some of the people in the Roman church were Jews. They were Jewish Christians. They had been raised as Hebrews, raised knowing the law of Moses and all that, and then they had discovered Jesus. What this meant is that these particular Christians were very used to a system of law. The more they would obey that law in their minds, the more merits that they earned. And naturally, if you've earned a lot of merits and you've avoided a lot of sin, you can start to feel pretty good about yourself, start to feel a little smug. Anybody would. It's human nature. And when you think you're earning something, you start to feel like it. Like, look what I've accomplished. Look how awesome I am. I want everybody to know how awesome I am. I'm saved because of what I've done. Let's look at the first part of verse 27 here. It says, where then is boasting? It's excluded. There should be no boasting. So far, Paul has built a case in the book of Romans that says no matter how many credentials you think you have, no matter how good you think you've been, you're still not good enough to be saved. No matter who you are, Jew or Gentile, you still need help from Jesus. The next part of the verse is this. Because of what law? Because of what law is boasting excluded? The law that requires works? No, because of the law that requires faith. God says stop, Paul says stop thinking about law. Stop, get that out of your head. The law is not the law we should be looking at. What we should be looking at is the law of faith, and that is this. God gave his son because there was no other way to be saved. We couldn't do it. Even if we kept the entire law, it still doesn't save us. So who does the work here? Is it us or God? And doesn't that fact make it obvious why there shouldn't be any boasting? Grace is about what God has done, not what we've done. Besides, next to what God has done, you're going to look pretty silly bragging about what you've accomplished. Do you know, I have once in my life, I have worn a genuine Super Bowl ring, not a replica, an actual ring earned for playing in the Super Bowl. See, years ago at a camp, the director there brought in Ken Rutgers to speak. Now, if you don't know who Ken Rutgers is, he was the right tackle for the Green Bay Packers the year they won the Super Bowl with Brett Favre. And he shows up at camp to speak. Now, this guy, you have to understand, this is an offensive lineman in the NFL. He is enormous. He's huge. Nice guy. Like I say, he let me wear his Super Bowl ring for all of about 4 seconds. And I thought I don't want to lose this. So I gave it back. Then he gave it to the kids to wear. I thought, why don't you just throw it into the woods? You're going to kill us all when you find out that these knuckleheads have lost it. Anyways, here's the thing. Ken Rutgers is gigantic, huge. I said to our youth pastor, who's a big guy, he's like 6'1", about 240 pounds. He's a big guy. I said, I'll bet if you and I work together and we coordinated our attack and we snuck up on him and surprised him, I'll bet we'd stand a good chance of getting the living daylights beaten out of us. Yeah, we would. I want you to again set this scene. Ken Rutgers is a professional football player who's gigantic. If I were to come up to him and say, well, I played some football in high school, that would look pretty silly. You don't want to brag about your achievements in front of somebody who's a professional athlete. So why on earth would we ever want to brag about our righteousness in the presence of God? Look at verses 28 through 30 now. For we maintain that a person is justified by faith apart from the works of the law. Or is God the God of Jews only? He's not the God of Gentiles too. Or I'm sorry, is he not the God of Gentiles too? Yes, of the Gentiles too, since there's only one God who will justify the circumcised by faith and the uncircumcised through that same faith. If God did the saving, why would anybody else want to brag? Maybe under the old system of law, they could point to their own merits. But here's why in those verses, why bragging just is not logical for us. If the law was what saved you, okay, you could brag about it. But that would also mean this. Only the Jews could be saved by that law. You see, think of the law as a contract signed by both God and the Jews. It's a covenant. We weren't, as Gentiles, we weren't a part of that agreement. So even if you could keep the law and be saved, that's great. We weren't part of that agreement. We're still lost. So what does save you? It's not the law. It's not being a Jew. It's grace. And if God saves us, if our salvation is 100% reliant on God, why do people still brag about how awesome they are? Why do Christians still like to point to all the sins they don't commit? There's got to be a reason for it, and we'll discuss that reason next time. Till then, have a great day.